Good morning, everyone. This morning we're going to be in Proverbs chapter number 13. And something really awesome about the Proverbs is that each one of them is like a little piece of the various different ways that we can either walk with God or we could choose to walk in the flesh or by our own ways. And Proverbs 13 is no different. It's a sequence of things, but it looks like where I want to read from today, several verses line up together. They're individual statements about we could do this or we could do that. That's what the Proverbs usually are. They're a choice between two directions. We can go God's way or we can go whatever other way that we think might be better. And so I'm just going to dive in at verse number 12 in this proverb. And I want you to see a sequence of verses that talk about the various facets of actually living to please the Lord and living by his word, how they kind of line up together. And it's going to start off a little strange. It's going to start off in that waiting for the promised reward instead of running to what the world offers in its place. So watch in verse number 12, it says, "Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life." And so you see the difference there. It's like, if I don't like to wait for things, I'm going to rush after them instead of dealing with that feeling we get when we're waiting and waiting and waiting. But when we wait and what God promises comes, it's just a tree of life. It's exciting. Well, look at verse number 13. It says, "Whoso despiseth the word shall be destroyed, but he that feareth the commandment shall be rewarded. The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snare of death. Good understanding giveth favor, but the way of the transgressor is hard. Every prudent man dealeth with knowledge, but a fool layeth open his own folly." And so it's just this back and forth between, are we going to do what God says? Are we going to trust that God is true and that God is not lying to us or withholding from us, as the serpent in the garden kind of implied to Eve that God was holding out and other ways are better? God's word constantly reminds us that God's ways are better if we're willing to wait and work and be about them and trust. But most people tend to go the easy way or the worldly way, or unfortunately, they fulfill the desires of their heart with whatever way they feel like gets it done faster or better. And so I want to encourage you today, really consider, are you doing it the Lord's way, or are you doing it the way that seems to work fastest for whatever it is you think you want? There's a big difference between those two things. God's word lays out for us how it ought to be, but oftentimes our flesh doesn't like to wait. So I want to encourage you, learn how to wait on the Lord. Learn how to apply his word, even if it's unpopular. Desire to know more about what God has for you. And I know that you're going to enjoy that tree of life that comes from waiting patiently for the Lord's will to unfold before you. And so I want to encourage you with that this morning. Be about the love of the Lord. Be about God's word, and you're going to see fruit in your life that you've never seen before. So I hope that's an encouragement to you this morning. Enjoy a blessed day.